Thanks for everybody who is going to participate. This topic presented by Inusah Mohammed from Ghana. We are really very appreciative for your participation, and we're going to host a topic which is how to be a good reader. This is one of our aims as a product library because we want to create young Somali readers who have a quality of reading. So, yeah. So thank you very much. Let me welcome to the platform Madam Khadija. Khadija, welcome to the platform.
I guess many like me ask themselves a question when they hear about this topic. And that question is, first of all, who is a good reader? You know, and what is reading? I mean, who can we call a good reader? Look, before I used to regard myself as a good reader. I used to persuade myself that I am a good reader. But lately, I came to realize that I'm not a good reader due to some factors like a good reader. I need to know who is a good reader, and does someone need to read for consecutive hours or days to become a good reader, or read some fixed number of words at a particular hour or minute to become a good reader? Our guest speaker will help us answer those questions. Allow me to take this opportunity to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Inusah Mohammed, Executive Secretary at Success Book Club. Mr. Inusah, welcome to the speech. We are looking forward to enjoying your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khadija Ahmed. Is this Khadija Ahmed or Nawal Ahmed? This Khadija Ahmed, Khadija Ahmed Adam. Okay. So Somalians, you speak Arabic, right? Before you speak the Somali language. So I will say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Okay, so as you rightly said, we are all readers, and I want to use the opportunity to, first and foremost, appreciate whatever you guys are doing. Bararug Library in Somalia, you are creating a community of readers, you are creating a community of activists, you are creating a community of society changers, you are creating a community of people who are moving and shaking the world. And I appreciate what you are doing. Brother Hassan is doing great with the host of you who are doing great in the Bararug Library. May Allah fortify your spirits. May Allah guide you on the path, and may Allah make us meet at the top as we all want to meet. Yeah. So that is my introductory, what's the name? Greetings, first and foremost. Can we continue? Can I roll out with the lecture?
Yeah, please continue with the lecture. Go ahead.
Okay. So as you, thank you very much, Sister Khadija. You have a name as the wife of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, Khadija bint Khuwaylid, a woman who was so great, so impactful in the life of the Prophet that the year she died, it was a sorrowful year. And he always said that she believed in him when everybody disbelieved in him. She helped him when everybody didn't want to help him. She gave him children. You understand? So it's a great name, and I like that. Now, how to be a good reader? How to be a good reader. So as you rightly indicated in your introduction, my name is Inusah Mohammed, but friends, enemies, and loved ones choose to call me Mazi Ukuru, and I am the Executive Secretary of Success Book Club. Now, Success Book Club, we formed it to give the youth a platform to develop and uplift themselves and make monumental impacts in their lives, in their communities, and the world at large. So you see it at play in Bararug Library. You people, I'm sure somebody started reading personally and realized that no, the thing must ricochet, it must bounce, it must spiral around. So he must also form a community of readers. The thing has moved from the personal to the communal level. And today we are at the world stage where we are having this interaction. The whole world is watching us. I've seen so far 20 participants all over the world have started joining. Many are even asking to join also. So that is the impact of reading. Now, we believed in this because I don't know of you, but we believe that knowledge is the sole good and ignorance is the sole evil. And nothing captures the essence of knowledge than the Quranic expression in Quran chapter 58, verse 11. Quran chapter 58, verse 11, that's as it captures that Allah was telling the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that yarfa illahu alladhina amanu minkum walladhina utul ilma darajat wallahu bima ta'maluna khabir. You understand? So that Allah will raise the standard of all believers, but for those who seek knowledge amongst the believers, the knowledgeable ones, theirs is going to be different degrees. They are going to be taken to a different pedestal. They are going to be taken to a different height. You understand? So that is the pedestal or the stage where readers, knowledge seekers, those who have knowledge, reach. Allah will raise them in degrees. And also, we believe that there was an author called Eleanor Fagin. She was a British author. She lived in Strand, London. Now, she wrote a very powerful poem and ended on a note that every human being must strive to eschew ignorance. We should embrace and cultivate knowledge in the prime of our lives. And also, we should aspire to be great, blossoming, and impactful. Can you hear me? Are you getting me?
Very clear.
Okay, so she wrote a very powerful poem. The title of the poem is Knowledge. Knowledge. So she starts by saying, knowledge. Your mind is a meadow to plant for your needs. You are a farmer with knowledge for seeds. Don't leave your meadow unplanted and bare. Sow it with knowledge and tend it with care. The science of numbers, the stories of time, the magic of music, the secrets of rhyme. Don't be a know-nothing plant in the spring. Let me take it again. Don't be a know-nothing plant in the spring and see what a harvest the summer will bring. All she was saying was that Allah is giving you the mind, which is a meadow. Meadow is a piece of grassland to plant for your needs. Whatever you need in this world, you will have to sow knowledge. You have to seek knowledge for you to be able to what? To get that particular thing. So she listed a whole lot of things that you could get when you get knowledge. The science of numbers, mathematics, the stories of time, which is history, the magic of music, the secrets of rhyme. Don't be a know-nothing plant in the spring. In the spring is the youthful stage of your life. At your prime, your actin and myosin, your muscles, they are very active. Your mind is sharp. Your mental acuity is on top. So when you seek knowledge at this time, in later years, you would reap a harvest. See what a harvest the summer will bring. That was the poem by Eleanor Fagin. Now, I was born in a Zongo community. Now, in the Zongo is a very special place to be in Ghana. Now, you know, if you're in Africa, we are lagging behind in terms of world development. And I am in Ghana, and in Ghana also I am in Zongo. So it means I am seriously in a serious place, which needs, I need hope. I need what? I need hope to be able to sustain my life in Africa. I need hope to survive. I need hope to chase my great ambition. I need hope to rise when I stumble. I need hope to help me face the turbulences and the pestilence of life. And I need hope to rekindle my spirit, rejuvenate myself, and reinvigorate my soul. And much more importantly, to regain my energy. Reading ensures this hope. I read the books of people who shook the world. I read the books of lives legendary lived. That's my hope is sustained. This morning, I want to discuss how to be a good reader. How do you become a good reader? So I've listed, it's only 5 points. I'm not going to bore you with a tall lecture. It's only 5 points. After the 5 points, then I give you some quick tips. After the 5 points that I will list, I'll give you some 9 tips that you could have at your fingertips so that you could be playing with how to be a very good reader. Now, 1, to be a good reader, you must become a reader. You understand? To be a good reader, you must become a reader. The first point is captured as such because you can only be good at something when you do that thing. You can only be good at something when you already do that thing. You can't be a good footballer when you do not play football in the first place. You should be playing football in the first place. Then you can work hard to be a very good or good footballer as such. So the only way you can be a good drummer is when you play the drum. You understand? So you must be a reader yourself. The question now is, how does one become a reader? How do you become a reader? Now, one, you develop an interest. All this is under the first point, become a reader. Under the first point, I, is you develop an interest. Now, under this, based on some of the historical facts we get in the books, based on some of the things we read in the books that we read, it is either one, someone teaches, entices, or teases you with reading, or your very association with people would let you have some conversations with them, which will make you develop the habit, the interest in reading. You understand? So one writer said, we are our conversations. When you have a conversation with someone about reading, when a person speaks in such a way that it moves you, it captivates you, you move to also try to start reading. You've become your conversation. So it's either someone pushes you, which is one point also. Someone may compel you. In the case of some people, their parents compelled them to become readers, so they became readers. Some people were enticed by their friends or their association, so they became readers. Some people also, by virtue of the people they came into contact with, the association, they became readers. Now, a classical example is a lady called Maya Angelou. Now, if you know Maya Angelou, she died in 2013. She was one of the greatest poets the world has ever seen, one of the greatest women the world has ever seen. She wrote a lot of autobiographies, but the most stunning one is I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing. That is an autobiography. I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing. Now, in that particular autobiography, she talked about the fact that she lived with her grandma. She lived with her grandma around a store. They have a store, you understand? And in the book, she said, I supped around. She stated that for nearly a year, I supped around the house, the store, the school, and the church, like an old biscuit, dirty and inedible. Then I met, or rather, I got to know the lady who threw me my first lifeline, but Mrs. Betty Flowers. The story is, a certain woman came to buy something from her mom. From her grandmom. When the woman came, she decided to pick up her things. But her grandmom said, no, go. I will let my granddaughter bring you the things at home. You understand? Then the lady said, okay, she doesn't want the sister of Maya Angelou. She wants Maya Angelou herself to bring her the things. So she followed the woman. Then the woman struck a conversation with her. The woman began speaking with her. The woman told her, language is a man's way of communication with his fellow man. And it is language alone which separates him from lower animals. So she said, this was a totally new something to me. The woman began to entice her with the need for her to uplift her mind. So understand? So the woman began enticing her with the love for language. Then the woman introduced her to a book. The book, you should read that book. It is, at the point in time, it was the best-selling book of all time. It was written by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens wrote this particular book. I've forgotten the title. Charles Dickens. Let me check the title for you. Yeah, so Charles Dickens wrote this particular book. The book starts with, it was an age of time, it was incredulity of time, and what have you. It's very poetic. The beginning of the book, A Tale of Two Cities. That is the book. A Tale of Two Cities. It's a very powerful book. It's one of the greatest books the world has read. A Tale of Two Cities. The beginning of the book is so captivating that it captured Maya Angelou. So it captured Maya Angelou and she began to read. That is one point. So you could see with her point, somebody has enticed her with reading. So she began to read. Now we have the case of Malcolm X. Malcolm X did all sorts of the bad things he did, and he found himself in prison. In prison, he associated with a guy called Bembry. The guy introduced him to reading. The guy told him, look in the dictionary, everything that is bad has the word black, blacklist, blackmail, black sheep. You understand? The angels are painted with black, what's the name? Black wings. So he said he should look into the dictionary and realize that no, he has to learn the dictionary. He has to learn language because the white man wins them with language. So he began to read. So one of the greatest readers the world has ever seen is Malcolm X. He didn't have any formal education. He read, and he began to read after he got himself associated with someone in prison. So that is one point. In developing an interest, one is either someone entices you, two is either you develop you find yourself with someone and strike a conversation with you, which would let you go to start the reading. The third one also is when someone compels you, someone forces you. And we have the case of Ben Carson. Ben Carson, his mom had to push him. His mom had to push him to start reading 2 books a week, because his mom realized that every day when they close from school, they come and sit down and be watching television. His mom said, no, television kills the soul. Television kills the drive. So no more television for them. What they'll do is, after school, they'll go to the library and read 2 books a week and make sure they write some notes or report on it. So that is one. Another thing, they were compelled to start reading. So these are the 3 strands in developing interest. Someone entices you, someone compels you or pushes you, your very association with people will also, what's the name? Let you have it. Now, number 2. So we've gotten the first one. Before you become a good reader, you must become a reader. The second point, to be a good reader, you must practice. You must practice, and keep practicing. Now, you must make it a habit to read, always and every time. There is this bookshop in Ghana. It's called Read Wide Bookshop. They have this motto: get caught reading. You should be caught reading at all times. That is the way we practice. Now, our fathers also tell us that by trying often, the monkey learns to jump from one tree to another without falling. The monkey doesn't know how to jump when it's giving birth to, no. But it begins to try. It begins to jump from one tree, it will fall. It jumps to the other tree, it will fall. It will jump and get to a point and it will fall. Then it gets to a time, the monkey will master its all agility. It will be swinging from tree to tree, flying from tree to tree. You understand? So by trying often, the monkey learns to jump from one tree to another without falling. Now, I have had the chance of starting a lot of people with reading. There are people who come to me, Mazi, I want to develop the habit of reading. I want to start reading. How do I start? What I do is I start with them on an article a day or a short story a day. So I give the person an article or a short story to read for a day. At least the day shouldn't end without a person reading that particular article. The day shouldn't end without a person reading that particular short story. So there are certain short stories that I've selected that are so enthralling, that are so engaging, that engrosses you when you're reading. And I begin to send to them via WhatsApp. So I start that. Then I'm very particular about the things I send them. Before I send someone a story, it should be a story I have read myself and I have soaked it up. I can't send something to someone that I have not read myself. So the person starts from an article a day. Then within time, you see that the person will say, Mazi, okay, send me 2 articles, send me 3 articles a day, send me 4 articles. Then from that, I give the person a very small book. From article or short story a day, I give the person a very small book to start with. Now, the person begins to develop his or her reading channel journey. The person now goes to fish out for his or her own books to read. So it is important for us to practice. Practice is important. It makes you a very good reader. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah tells us that unless the pot is constantly stirred, the contents will go stale. If you don't read, you would become stale. You will stop the reading. But if you keep on reading constantly, you are reading. At least you are going to the toilet. Excuse my language. You read on the toilet. You are going to bed. You read. Early morning, you read. You are riding to school. If you take a commercial bus, make sure you are reading on the bus. I don't see the reason why a market woman is on the bus with her pan or a foodstuff, and you, a student, you, a young person, you, a reader, you are also seated in the van doing nothing. You must also take a book in the library and on the bus and also read. There are people who are asking to join, okay, and also read. So you must keep practicing. If you can miss your meal, never miss your reading. It's very important. Never miss your meal. Number 3, you should read books that enthrall you. You should read books that's what interests you. Personally, I read all kinds of books. I read all kinds of books. Just this morning, I was reading a book by, How Contagion Works. How Contagion Works. This is a book written by Paolo Giordano, How Contagion Works, Science, Awareness, and Community in Times of Global Crisis. Ordinarily, this is not a book I should be reading. I like to read biographies and autobiographies, understand? But I read everything I come across. But still, there are certain books that move me. There are books that want me to do more in my reading. There are books I pick, like this particular book, Muhammad Ali, The Soul of a Butterfly. It's an autobiographical piece. It keeps me reading. I can hold this book and read the entire day without rising from my seat. You understand? Those are the kind of books I want. Though I read everything, these are the books that enthrall me. So if you see me seated, you find autobiographies all around me. Mani Marabo, another autobiography, another biography. Muhammad Ali, another biography. So a lot of biographies. Another biography by the former president of Ghana. Biographies move me. You understand? So choose what you want and take it up. So there are books that keep you flipping the pages. There are books, personally, you should have these particular books that will keep you flipping the pages, that will keep you turning the pages to read more. There are books that makes you sad when you are getting towards the end of the book. When you are finishing the book, you get sad. You wish there were more pages in the book. There are books also that affect, in the list, the life of your body, the beat of your heart, the illumination of your soul, the enlightenment of your consciousness, and your vibration with energy and life. Understand? So with biographies, I read great lives. As I stated earlier, I feel a part of my life has been eased for me. When you read an autobiography, when you read the life of how a business was started, when you read about how countries were started, like My Vision, a book by Mohammed Rashid Al Maktoum, the one who founded United Arab Emirates, it tells you how we can build a country from the scratch. You understand? So when you read about these books, you realize that part of your life has been eased. When you're also trying to start a country, you can start it easily. Somebody has taught you how to start it. He has collapsed the timeline for you. If initially it would have taken you 30 years to start your business, it would have taken you 30 years to start your country, it would have taken you 30 years to start your organization, somebody has already done that, and he has written a book on it for you. So it will collapse your timeline. Now you can use about 10 years instead of the initial 30 years that you were using. You understand? So I also like Chinua Achebe's books. You can't see me anywhere without the books of Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe is the Africa's greatest writer. So you see one book of Chinua Achebe. I'm reading it. I started reading it, Africa's Tarnished Image, because his books show me that. Hello?
Yeah, the name of the book.
Africa's Tarnished Image.
Oh, okay.
By Chinua Achebe. Africa's Tarnished Image. Have you gotten it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I read his books. He has Things Fall Apart. He has Arrow of God. He has, what's the name? A Man of the People. He has Ant Hills of the Savannah. He has Girls at War. He has an Education of a British Protected Child. These books of his make me know why Africa is still the way it is. Africa is still impoverished by centuries of domination and exploitation. So we need to overcome that. Africa is still crippled because we don't have leaders who have the balls, the leaders who have the conscience to uplift the community, the leaders who would damn the next elections and do what they are supposed to do. So those are the things I read. You in Somalia, maybe you would like to read Nuruddin Farah. Nuruddin Farah said he writes because he believes writing will help him develop his country. He's one of Africa's greatest writers. You should be proud of him, Nuruddin Farah. I read his essay on Chinua Achebe. He wrote about their association, and he is one of Africa's greatest writers. So thumbs up to Somalians or Somali people for Nuruddin Farah. He's a very great writer. So those are the books I read. So to you, to become a good reader, choose books that interest you and stick to them. know that you do not have to finish every book that you're reading. Not every book that you take, you have to finish. No, there are certain books that doesn't move me. This morning, I picked this particular book and I was trying to read it. It didn't move me. The better half on the genetic superiority of women. It didn't move me, so I put it down. I put it down. You understand? So choose books that interest you and stick to them. Now, some people like fiction. Some people don't like fiction. Some people believe that the life of the imagination is a vital element of our total nature. So they have to read fiction, imagination. They have to read fiction to stir up their imagination. Some people believe in that. Some people like romantic stuff. Some people also like science fictions. You understand? Some people want to read about what's the name of the scientist Richard Dawkins. Some people want to read about, geographical aspect of life. Some people want to read about skies. Some people want to read about sex. Everybody and his choice. There is no accounting for taste in the English say. There is no accounting for taste. I can't come and say, Khadija, why do you like fiction? Khadija, why do you like romantic books? No. Why do you like Islamic books? Everybody and his choice. You understand? So take the books that interest you, the choice that interests you, and stick to them. You do not have to finish every book that you are reading. If a book doesn't move you, you put it aside and take a new one. You understand? Now the fourth point, take your reading as a mission. Your reading, take it as a mission. Why do you read? Why do you think you have to read? Why do you read? I read to be great. I read to be great. Khadija Ahmed has gone off. Khadija.
No, I'm there.
Great. I read to be great. I read because I want to inspire a lot of people in my life. The books that I read provide me with those things, those steps in life, those inspiration to do the things I do to inspire generations that will come after me. In the next 100 years, we will not be on earth. In the next 100 years, we will not be on Zoom here participating in this particular discussion. In the next 100 years, the world would have forgotten us. In the next 100 years, we would be long forgotten. But what would you do? What would you do that will sustain your name? What would you do so that strangers will come later and come in and know, okay, how fiercely we loved, how strongly we fought, as the poet Homer said in the Iliad. You understand? We have to inspire a lot of people. And books will provide you with that inspiration. Believe me, you must believe in yourself that you can be great. If you believe in yourself that you can be great, you will strive to be great. You wouldn't sit there. You would love to read to be great. And I tell you, I am yet to see a great man who had nothing to do with reading, knowledge, and its acquisition. Prophet Muhammad tells us that, what's the name? Talabul ilm faridatun ala kulli Muslim. Seeking of knowledge is very, very vital. It's very incumbent upon every Muslim. Jesus Christ tells us that for lack of knowledge, my people will perish. Albert Einstein was voted best man from 1900 to 2000 because of knowledge. He theorized why the sky is blue. He brought the theory of relativity. He brought the formula E is equal to mc squared, where is equal to E is equal to energy, m is equal to mass defect, c is equal to speed of light. You understand? Now, this particular formula that he brought, America used it to do the atomic bomb, and they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, so his knowledge was so great. He was a person who married reading. He married books. He married knowledge. So he was voted the man of the century. For 100 years, there has not been any man like Albert Einstein. So Nelson Mandela tells us that when he was in prison, it was Chinua Achebe who brought down the walls. He was reading when he was in prison. So great men, all the great men I know, the first president of Somalia was a very, very astute reader. He became the president in 1960 and what have you. He was a very, very great reader. So if you don't read, you can't be great. A blind person cannot lead a people. A people cannot be led by the blind. You must seek knowledge to be able to lead people. I'm not saying the most knowledgeable person should be the leader, no. But you can't be a very good leader without knowledge. You can't be a very good leader without reading. You can't be a great person without reading. You understand? So you have to appreciate reading. Now the Arabs have a saying that tamanaita and tasba fakihan manaziran bigari anaim fal jununu fununu walaysa al-iktisab al-mali duna mashaqqa تكبدتها فالعلم كيف يكون. Now, I don't know if my Arabic is good, but he's saying you aspire to be an erudite scholar. You aspire to be a great person without any hardship, without any sacrifice. No. You can't happen. If you think that you can be a great person without knowledge, without reading, without struggling, without taking the pain to go through a book, without taking the pain to be a very good reader, you would be a madman. It's a form of madness. It's a form of madness that you want to be great without any hard work. So to be a great reader, you must understand that your reading is a mission. Why do you read? Some people read to be great. Some people read to inspire a lot of people. Some people read to do better things in life. Some people read to gain money. You understand? So why do you want to read? If you have the purpose of why you want to read, it will put you on the path to be a very good reader. Now, the last point, as a Muslim, I believe that reading is worship. I take my reading as worship, because the first command that came in the Quran was Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq khalaqal insana min alaq Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram alladhi allama bil qalam allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. So it's a command. It's a command that you should read. And there is an author, Sheikh Ishaq Niyama, he said the commandment to read is a call to civilization. It's a call to, development. If you want to develop yourself, if you want to be civilized, you must read these particular books. So these are the 5 points that I've listed for you to be a good reader. But let me just give you 9 tips. 9 tips, then we call it a day for the lecture. 1, to become a very good reader, when you are reading, you take it slow. You take it slow. Don't rush. You're not in any competition with anyone to absorb the book. Take it slow. 2, choose the right time and place to read. Some people love to read in the toilet. Some people love to read on the bus. Some people love to read in the park. Some people love to read on the plane. Some people want to read in school or in class. Choose the right time and place to read. 3, choose the right books that interest you. We've talked about that. 4, expand your vocabulary. If you expand your vocabulary, reading wouldn't be a bore to you. You will develop your reading, become a good reader, such that you wouldn't be going back to the dictionary and back and forth from the dictionary to the book. It would delay your reading. 5, use dictionary sensibly. Use a concise dictionary. Don't go and be using thesaurus, where you will be bombarding yourself with bombastic language. Number 6, read as often as you can. Number 7, access reading materials. Visit the library. Go to the library. Form a library. Join a library. You become a very good reader. Number 8, read with purpose. We've talked about that also. Number 9, you must feel it. You must feel your reading. You must love it. You must own it. If you don't love something, you won't do it. If you don't have the passion for something, you can never be great at it. You can never be good at it. I like to read. I'm always with books. I take pictures with books. I pose with books. I pose with reading. You understand? So love it, feel it. Thank you very much for this particular opportunity to share with you how to be a good reader. I know our discussions will open up the chance for more of the things that were left unsaid. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the timekeeping. I said it before and I will say it again. The majority of people in life are pulling the easy way, but they are getting further and further from the track of their real life. See, no matter how busy you think you are, you must find time for reading or surrender yourself to self-chosen ignorance. Mr. Inusah, I think you have concluded your lecture. I would like to turn this opportunity to the audience to forward their comments and also ask questions on the topic. Questions out of the topic are not regarded or considered. We will start the questions from the side of the men and then to the side of the ladies, and it will go like that. Each audience will get 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes to forward their comments or questions. And please, it must be in English so that it is well understood by our guest. Thank you. Audience, welcome to the session. Abdishakur Hajir says, how can one simply make reading as consistent as possible? How can one simply make reading as consistent as possible? Kindly elaborate on that at some point in the lecture. Anyway,
Yeah, so
help him elaborate.
yeah, I've stated it already. Just love it when you feel it, and you understand. If you take it as it's something that you don't have to miss. You understand? I talked about practice, that the monkey learns to jump from one tree to another without falling. You understand? So small. I know some people find it difficult to read. Take it upon yourself. A page a day. I want to read a page a day. So you can start by that. At least a day shouldn't end without you reading a page. When you begin to flow, you begin to read 2 pages, 3 pages. Then by the time you realize you are reading a whole book and you not get tired. So consistency is doing. If you continue doing things, that is the consistency. You understand? So you must be reading. You must be constantly reading. You must AB. You must always bring a book. You must always have something to read with you. Now everything has been reduced to bite for us, our phones. There are a lot of short stories. I don't read on my phone, no. I love to hold the book. I love to spoil the book. I want to highlight it. But I don't know what is for you, what is in it for you. So try to read something. Even on Facebook, you can be reading people's posts, long posts. The posts that has see more, try to read them. You begin to develop that grit. You begin to develop that rigor. You begin to develop that strength to be able to read more and be consistent about it. And I tell you, you begin to read 600-page books and you will not, bat an eyelid.
Thank you. Fatuma Iria says, I feel boring when I try to read something. I can't read more than 5 pages. I like to jump. So how can I solve this problem?
Fatima, what is your interest? What interests you? What do you do that you can sit for hours? You can sit for hours doing without feeling bored. You should have that particular interest. So you begin to look for books about that interest. You understand? Some people like football matters. So the person can be reading about football. He can read about soccer. He will not get tired. What do you like? Do you like food? There are books on food. You could be reading about food, how to prepare jollof, how to prepare Somali pasta, how to prepare all kind of foods that you want. Develop your interest. I talked about it earlier on. Know your interest. Find books that suit your interest. You understand? There are books I take and I put them down. I said it because it does not interest me. So if you can't read beyond 5 pages, mashallah, you read 5 pages. If you can't read more than 5 pages, it means you should look for your interest, your particular interest, what you want to read about. Maybe you take a book on clothes. You will see that you will finish the books. Maybe you take a book, fiction, African writers, a book written by Nuruddin Farah, a book written by Chinua Achebe, a book written by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, a book written by Cyprian Ekwensi. This African, because you begin to love your what's the name, your continent. So try to alternate the books that you are reading. Pick a new interest, what you think interests you, then you read. There are books, academic books, I put them. But when I take a biography or autobiography, I begin to find myself in the book. But when I take academic books, my head begins to drop, my head begins to dance. I get bored. You understand? It's not only you, but your interest matters most in this particular problem. Find your interest and feed it. And I tell you, you will read 600 pages of a book. You will not be bored.
Oh, okay. Fatma, I think you have that a consistent answer. Someone is asking Mohammed Abdulrazak, what is the best book that you ever read? I think this person needs recommendation for books. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so as a Muslim, the Quran is a book we should always mention. But I believe the Quran is cardinal. It's a very good, you should read the Quran. But the best book I have read, I can give you 5 of the best books I've read. One is The Greatness Guide. The Greatness Guide.
Go slow, please.
The Greatness Guide.
Okay, let me also note.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, The Greatness Guide.
The Greatness Guide is 1 and 2 by Robin Sharma. It's a book by Robin Sharma. Number 2, Life of Muhammad by Muhammad Hussein Haikal. Have you gotten it?
Yes.
Life of Muhammad Hussein Haikal. Number 3, the autobiography of Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana. The autobiography of Kwame Nkrumah. Number 4, the autobiography of Malcolm X. The autobiography of Malcolm X. You've gotten it, right? You've gotten it? Okay, number 5, Tributes and Reflections on Chinua Achebe. Tributes and Reflections on Chinua Achebe. I think a lot of writers came together to write their tributes and their reflections on the great African writer, Chinua Lumungu Achebe.
Thank you. Are you done?
I'm done. That's 5. That's 5.
Okay. Someone is asking here, Abdulsalam Mohammed, when you are starting to read, I think he means when you are new to the reading world, tell me books to read when you start reading at first time.
When I started reading?
No, I think when you are beginning, he means when you are
a beginner.
Yeah.
A beginner. So it depends on the person. It depends on the person. Me, for instance, I started reading when I was very, very young. So I started reading these English books that are written for children. The classics, Little Red Riding Hood, Gingerbread Man, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Rapunzel. You understand? These are books that whipped up my interest in reading when I was very, very young. But with you, I can suggest a book for you to read, to look for it and read and start reading. That will be the first book. Go and look for Who Will Cry When You Die by Robin Sharma. Who Will Cry When You Die? It's a very, very solid book. Easy read. You would flow, and it would let you know that you have to be, you have the capacity to be great. You have the capacity to unleash the universe contained in you. So you have to read. You understand? So it's a book I suggest to you. Who Will Cry When You Die by Robin Sharma. Go and look for that book and start reading.
Okay, another person is asking. Yandy. Okay. What are the benefits of reading?
The benefits of reading, it's a lot. I talked about the continent we find ourselves in. We are in Africa, and in Africa, if you don't have hope, you are dead, because already the continent is struggling. You understand? So reading sustains your hopes. You read about people who have found themselves in far worse situation than you, and they've been able to overcome it. I read about a woman called Iyalavanza. She's now a very big lawyer in the United States of America. She was born in a taxi on a railway track. The taxi is fault. There was no home for her mom and her. That is where her mom gave birth to her. By the age of 9, she had a child raped by her uncle. By 16, she had 2 children. By 20, she had about 4 children, not married. But she was able to turn over her life. She was able to turn over her life, and now she's one of the greatest female lawyers in America. So you read about this particular woman, you realize that, okay, somebody found himself in far worse situation than me and was able to become great. So reading sustains hope. 2, secondly, reading gives you grit. It gives you rigor. It gives you focus, in the sense that when you take, let me see how many pages, you take a 394 pages, 394 page book and read. It gives you focus. It gives you grit. For you, it gives you consistency. For you to be able to flip through all these pages and read, it gives you that consistency. 3, reading also leads you on the path of a good life. I tell you, when you read, you don't get bored. Reading always interests you. When you read, you don't get depressed. Depression is on our continent. Reading leads you from depression. Reading makes you a happy person. Reading, especially active reading, makes you impactful in other people's lives. Reading makes you leave a legacy on earth. Reading makes you have conversations with great minds. There are people, the people that are shaping the world now are people that are dead and long gone. Prophet Muhammad is dead. Jesus Christ is dead. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. All these great people are dead. But when you read about them, you read about the Holy Prophet Muhammad and how he and his companions were able to bring out the greatest civilization the world has ever seen, you like, wow, wow. So it will make you live a good life. You read about how the Prophet and his companions were received by the people of Medina. It will teach you brotherliness. It will teach you togetherness. It will teach you the spirit of comradeship, how to live with people, how to accept strangers in your life, how to move along with people. You understand? A lot of benefits of reading that, and reading gives money. Most importantly, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates tell us that their secret, the secret to their riches is reading. They read. Bill Gates read 500-page books every week. 500-page books every week. So reading gives all sort of things, and all of these things, and it gives money also. Thank you.
Time is threatening us. Let me go forward with the last question.
And thank you for your golden time to share with us. And I want to ask you a question. I usually use dictionaries when I'm reading, and I feel supported when I'm using the dictionaries, because I can't continue in the reading. So you say in order to escape that kind of mood, we have to expand our vocabulary. So is there any tips that you would recommend to us in order to
Well, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
if I got your question well, you are saying you get some stalls, you get halted in your reading because of your paucity of vocabulary, because of your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you should get yourself a very good dictionary. The dictionary I use is Longman's Dictionary of English Language and Culture. But before that, you must get First Aid in English by Mel and Gibson. First Aid in English. It's a blue book. You must also get Student Companion. These are small books. They are for children, but adults must use them. They will help you sidestep some of the basic vocabularies that we need. And also get a pen and paper when you are reading. Make notes. Strange terms, write them. You've come across new names, write them. You come across new vocabulary, write them. Find time to go and look for them in the dictionary. After that, make sure you internalize them. Make sure you use them. You understand? Make sure you use the particular words in your conversations with your people, because the more you use them, the more it becomes part and parcel of you. You understand? So get yourself a very good dictionary. Get yourself a pen and paper. We read and learn with pen and paper. Jot these words down. Then after you finish reading, go and look for the meanings. After you get the meanings, go back and read the book again. And you will see your understanding is fast, way different from the first understanding that you had. Thank you.
Okay. This person is saying, okay, this person is saying, I like to read storybooks, but before that, I want to identify, to distinguish between the fiction books and non-fiction books. Can you help me that?
Yes, okay, so fictional books are books from imagination. It never happened in real life. Someone just sits down and creates a story. Okay, let me create a story. Okay, the story of Bararuk Library. Maybe Bararuk Library never existed. Then I decided to create a story in my mind of Bararuk Library. So I create the characters. I create the story. I create the plot. I create the setting. I create the conversation. Everything that happens in that particular story, that is fiction. It comes from somebody's own imagination. So we have a lot of fictional writers in Africa. In Africa, we have what's the name? Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who wrote Weep Not Child. It is fictional. Things Fall Apart is fictional. Chinua Achebe created it from his mind. No Longer at Ease is fictional. What's the name? Anthills of the Savannah. These are all fictional books. But we have non-fiction. Non-fiction is something that happened in real life. Something that happened. It could be biography. The life of, what's the name? Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali lived a life on this particular earth. So a book on him is non-fiction. It is not imaginative. Somebody is not creating it. It is based on real life. Biographies, autobiographies, journals, almanacs. These are all non-fiction. They are based on true, hard facts. But fictions are things that are created from the minds of people. You just sit down and create a story. It is fictional. One of the most popular fictional character we have in history is Sherlock Holmes, created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle created Sherlock Holmes from his chemistry teacher. He looked at his chemistry teacher acting so weirdly in class. Then he decided to create a character from that particular chemistry teacher. He created Sherlock Holmes. So you read the adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. These are all fiction. You understand? But let me add that the fact that fiction is not based on true facts doesn't mean it doesn't reflect our lives. It reflects our lives. There are some fictional books that mirror the things that we do. There are some fictional stuff written that show us what happens in a real life. In 1956, Chinua Achebe, in 1961 or 62, Chinua Achebe wrote A Man of the People. A Man of the People in 1959, A Man of the People ended with a coup d'etat. By then, there had never been a coup d'etat in Nigeria. You understand? In several months later, there was a coup d'etat. So people look for Chinua Achebe, that he had an foreknowledge of the coup d'etat that was about to happen. He just wrote something from his mind. He just sat down, thought, and said, let him write a story which will end with a coup d'etat. You understand? So that is the difference between non-fiction and fiction. Most of the storybooks that we have are fictional. People create it in their minds. But non-fiction are biographies, autobiographies, almanacs, journals, historical facts, and what have you. Those are non-fiction.
Thank you. Have you tried this book, Tales from Africa?
By Douglas Collins. No,
Yeah.
no, I've not seen it before.
It is a non-fiction book.
Let me check. Tales from Africa.
Yeah.
It's a non-fiction, right? It talks about Africa. It talks about...
I think, yes, many stories about Africa, the Lamu, even you can find some of the tribes of the Somali and many stories that happen in Africa.
Yeah. It's non-fiction. It's non-fiction. It talks about things that are happening in Africa. I see it over here. 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 It's a non-fictional book. You recommend that to me, right? I'll look for it. Tales from Africa.
Okay.
What's the name of the author?
Douglas Collins.
Douglas Collins. Okay, great. I'll look for it. I'll show it to Hassan.
Okay. Time is threatening us.
Okay.
How to make a note, because books are a very big exercise. I think he means how to make a note while you're reading.
How to what?
Make notes while you're reading.
Yeah. It's very important. Look for where's the book? Chinua. Okay, so look for small pieces of paper like this. Look for these pieces of paper, or it could be any paper, and jot down new expressions. If you come across any new expression, jot it down. If you come across any new term which you don't know, jot it down. Sometimes you read a book, the author may be talking about soccer, but he will talk about something, depression. You don't know the meaning of depression. You go and read on depression. The author can talk about schizophrenia. You've not heard the word before. You jot it down. Go and read schizophrenia. Go and read about it. So you realize that though you've read about soccer, but you've encompassed a lot of things. You read a little bit about psychology. You've read a little bit about personalities. You've read a little bit about certain places in the world and what have you. So you jot down new expressions, jot down new words, jot down or highlight quotes. I use a highlighter a lot. I highlight my books, the books that I read. I use highlights. So if you see the books I'm reading, I've highlighted them a lot. You see highlights everywhere. You see highlights. I highlight the important expressions that I want to keep and the back, such that when somebody comes to pick the book later, the person doesn't have to read all the book. He reads the highlighted part and he can get a snippet of what the book talks about. So you can find an highlighter, you could find a pen and paper, jot down new expressions, jot down new words, find quotes, file them, and use them in your what's the name? In your interactions, and you become a great scholar. You become an institution on your own.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Best time for reading. I think he has clarified before that reading has no time. Anywhere, any place, anytime.
Yeah, reading has no time. Anywhere you could, anytime. I read a lot in the night when everybody is asleep, in the wee hours of the night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will give you 2 statements to conclude your lecture, Mr. Inusah.
Okay. 2 statements.
What current book will you recommend for a youth who is aggressive in making money?
Current book that I recommend for our youth.
Who is aggressive in making money?
Oh, they should go and read the life of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They should read The Sealed Nectar by Safiur Rahman al-Mubarakpuri, or The Life of Muhammad by Muhammad Hussein Haikal. As Muslims, as youth, the greatest mirror, our greatest example is the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you learn a whole lot of things from him. You learn how to be moderate. The Prophet taught us moderation. Don't go so aggressive chasing money. If you are aggressive and chasing money, you never you end up doing bad things. Look at this man. The book is Way of the Wolf. Way of the Wolf. His name is Jordan Belfort. Now this man, Allah gave him the gift of selling. He can sell very fast. He can sell so deep. Look at the way he described he's selling. He can sell ice to an Eskimo. He can sell oil to an Arab. He can sell pork to a rabbi. Anything you can think of, he can sell it. But he decided to use the selling to do bad things. He extorted money from people. He stole from people, selling people things that never existed, taking a lot of money from them. You understand? In the end, he went to prison. All that he built came crashing down. But he has written this book to teach us that you must make the best out of what God has given you in a good way, not in an aggressive way, not in a, by all means, I must make it way. No, you must do it moderately. Chase your dreams passionately, but don't steal someone. don't do it at the peril of someone's comfort, at the peril of someone's life, at the peril of someone's resources. So they should tone down. They can read the life of Muhammad. They will gain a lot of insights from there. And they can read also The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort to see how futile aggressiveness is in chasing money.
Come to conclusion, please.
So I conclude by thanking Bararug Library again for this wonderful initiative. There is no better thing to do than to organize yourselves and read. In reading would, would eschew extravagance, bureaucracy, laziness, and similar manifestations in our communities, and we can eradicate illiteracy completely from our midst. Knowledge is good, knowledge is sweet, knowledge is so great that the one who doesn't have knowledge always goes around to say he has it. The one who doesn't have knowledge always goes around to say he has knowledge. So seek knowledge. And remember that Sayyidina Ali, the great Caliph of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the great cousin of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tells us that we human beings think we are insignificant. That we think we are insignificant, but there's a whole universe contained in us. Allah created a universe in us. And the only way we can unleash that universe is to marry books, is to marry knowledge. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for all the 33 people who came on board. Now it has reduced to 18 people from all over the country. And thank you very much, Khadija and Nawal, Hassan Mudani, and Bararug Library. And extend my greetings to the people of Mogadishu. Thank you very much.
To conclude our meeting, I would like to thank all the wonderful people who spoke or listened to our fruitful session. All of you taking time out of your busy personal and professional schedule means something to us. I am specifically thanking our guest speaker who invested time and effort to let us know the importance of reading. Also thanks to Hassan Mudani and Nawal who directed this meeting. Thank you all.